Welcome to Uncle Joe's Garage, presented by California Car Cover. Special guest today, Andy Summers of The Police fame. Should I say you're infamous for The Police?
I think that's good, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love the movie. Can't
Thank you.
Stand Losing You, Surviving the Police is the name of the documentary. It was in theaters a couple months ago. Now it's coming out on DVD and everything else that goes associated with that. It's based on, somewhat, on your book, One Train Later.
Based on, I think it's loosely based.
Loosely.
Well, it is my life story, sort of, which in the book is divided into two parts.
Yeah.
This is the thing, I'm 12, I get guitar, blah, 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 learn to play. And, the career through the bands and playing and all that, and all the ups and downs and the adventures of being a musician, trying to stay alive. And the second half of the book is when I joined the police. And it's more ups and downs and starving and all that until we finally get there. So that's the way the book is laid out. I mean, there's a lot of depth to it and nuance and about being a musician. I'm
completely fascinated with the title, One Train Later. That actually applies to everything that's happened in your life, hasn't it? Or the significance?
That's a debatable thing, actually. And I'll tell you why. I actually called it that because I thought, actually, it's a really hip title, but it's based on a little thing that happened in the story, which is where, if you read the book, you can find out. I got off a train.
You should read the book. Okay.
Should read the book. And Stuart got off on the train right after me. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to be in the police, but then we had a long, intense conversation. And subsequently, of course, I did.
Well, first off, has there ever been any conversation with Stuart that wasn't intense? Thank you. And you had spoken with Sting before that, and that's when you worked
I don't want to take up all the time rehearsing what's already been said so many times, but, we'd been playing together for at least 3 weeks. We'd been to Paris, we did a gig. I was like the guitar player, but they actually had another guy that was there for me, but they saw the light, let's say, and anyway, without going into all of that,
What did Stuart say, or did you say something that broke the...
Well, the thing is, Stuart told me that I wouldn't want to be in the band, and I shouldn't be in it. And he was right, because there was no record deal, no gigs, no future. I mean, there was nothing. But clearly, the three of us had gone to a special place musically, and Sting was very into it. But they had this other guy, so it was a difficult situation. So I'm not going to be in the band, I'm not playing with him. And, of course, they realised which side their bread was buttered.
The movie's called Can't Stand Losing You, Surviving the Police. I love the way it begins with you playing a guitar by yourself. And it ends, this is not a deal breaker on the thing, it ends with you playing guitar by yourself in front of 150 or 200,000 people, something like that.
Yeah.
Do you realize the effect that has on young guitarists? Since we saw that movie, my son's been playing the guitar every day, getting up playing guitar.
Well, I think that's wonderful. To me, that's a real, very flattering. It's a tribute to the career, and that if you stick it out, you maybe it'll happen, but maybe it won't. But those aren't the reasons. Do it if you love it. I mean, people go, "What's your advice to a young musician?" It's a very difficult question to answer. Except everything sounds so corny and cliched, but they are all really true. I mean, the only thing is, if you love it and you're prepared to starve for it, do it, because it's great. But it doesn't mean you're going to become successful or make money. You do music because you love. Music is the reward.
And then if you do reach major success, it might not be as exciting as you were thinking it was going to be.
Well, you might do okay. You might make a living. But if you think you're going to get into the sort of rock god status, that's very difficult to do.
There was only one band that was so big that kept Michael Jackson out of top of the charts.
And you're looking at it right now, buddy.
You have Steve Miller, Billy Gibbons, Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick, and you are known for having collections of guitars. You wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, here's one I haven't seen."
No, I have a collection of pipes, actually.
Pipes?
Yeah, pipes are good. All kinds, meerschaum, all these different pipes from all.
Much easier to...
But mine are shaped like guitars, so people think they're just...
This is the place you get these kind of details, right here in the garage, the secrets.
I have one of Sherlock Holmes's originals, but No, do I get up in the morning and go, what guitar do I want to play
Yeah.
today? Well, I get out of bed and I usually trip over one. That's the
Whichever it's
problem.
gonna be like.
And smash it, and then I have to buy another one.
So you're walking down the street, oh my God, there's a red Strat. I got to have that.
No, I mean, I do have a lot of guitars. I don't know what the last count was, about 100. But I mean, I have to tell you, I mean, I got one yesterday. It's pathetic. Yeah, I know.
Well, they go out of tune. You have to get, you have to
Well,
have a
yeah.
new one. Which,
Do they? I haven't tuned one in years. That's somebody else does.
We'll
that.
call it a jazz
That's
chord.
Not my job. Yeah, I bought a beautiful Django Reinhardt style guitar yesterday. Very beautiful. Really, very nice. But it's, the old joke is, how many more guitars do you need? Just one.
Just one.
Yeah, and on we
one
go.
more.
So I'm about 160, and I think Billy Gibbons has got the most.
Yeah, I think so too.
But he's probably a more serious collector. I don't know if I'm a serious collector. I've just got a lot of guitars. I got some pretty cool pieces, but people pay $100,000 for an old Strat or something. I mean, to me, there's only one test. I pick it up and go, I don't care if it's a 1950 Strat. Not working. It's got to be a player for me.
Love it.
More than the extremely collectible, because some of the very collectible ones, they don't play well. They're not good. They don't sound good. So I think the real collectors aren't the players. The players are.
I go with that.
So it's a real truth.
The movie is Can't Stand Losing You, Surviving the Police, out on DVD, Blu-ray, and all other kinds of things like that. There were 3 things I noticed over the course of your tour here for Can't Stand Losing You, Surviving the Police.
Yeah.
One of them was you had a question and answer period after the movie. And was there a question that people asked more than any others that you can relay to us here?
Well, one of the scenes towards the end of the film, which really, it is a great scene in it, but it really piqued people's interest, is the camera crew following me around and on the tour, and we were in Japan and in Tokyo, and so after the show one night, I went down to an area called Shinjuku, and within Shinjuku there's an area called the Golden Guy, which is this beautiful little sort of half a square mile of these tiny little alleys and bars, and it's very miniaturized and very Japanese, and I love to go there. And it was snowing, and we were walking around at midnight, and I'm like taking pictures, and it's this kind of cool scene. So we do the shoot. I'm walking through the alleys. The guy's following me with his camera, and it's very exotic.
Yeah.
So okay, it's getting really cold. Let's go. And so we're walking out of the little area, and suddenly I hear, "Every breath you take." What? So there's a karaoke bar. Karaoke bar, and I'm hearing every breath you take. So I go, let's go. I walk into the bar, and there are several very drunk Japanese singing Every Breath You Take. And there's a big TV screen up above the bar with a beautiful Japanese girl and cherry blossoms drifting by and the lyrics to Every Breath You Take. And they're all singing it with microphones. It's mad. So I walk in and I'm just standing there because I've got like the hat on because it's a scarf and everything. And I finally join in with them and sing the whole song with them. And then at the end, of course, I whip off all the stuff and they all recognize me. So it's this very funny moment, it blows them all away. So it was, and completely unrehearsed, and it actually happened. But people, you set that up. No, we didn't. It was actually true. So. You
had made mention, "Message in the Bottle" is one of your favorite riffs, and that is because it is everything that is the essence of what you were doing with the Police, or
I think it sort of is, and the guitar style was very much in that song, and one of the, I mean, I don't want to get too deep musically here, but
you'll lose me if you do.
Well, no, but I mean, it was trying to establish, on a guitar was, the bass is a harmonic instrument, but really it was the guitar in this case, doing a different thing harmonically within this rock framework than the standard thing, not big bar chord, big major chords and then big minor chords, but like taking these sort of fragmented chords and leaving out the major and minor thirds and getting this more sort of cool, more interesting, cooler, neutral sound in a harmony that just, describe the music in a different way, that was sort of the style, along with, the fact that I used guitar effects in those early days when it was all pretty new and no one had heard things like chorus and the repeat stuff that I would do with the Echoplex and sometimes an envelope filter. I started to I felt that being in a trio and having to be on stage for a couple of hours a night playing through all these songs, that I needed to open the sound and make it keep sort of diversifying throughout the set. There wouldn't be just one sort of distorted guitar sound.
Yeah.
So I was more interested in all these, like a palette of colors, and I started using all the technology that I could to make the whole show more interesting from the guitar point of view.
Well, it's more difficult if you're in a trio, isn't it?
Well,
Or of course, there's nobody to get in your way.
Well, no, the thing is, no, if you had keyboards, you got a problem, or another guitar player, you got a problem. But the thing is, I had bass and drums, and so like that full sonic spectrum was open to me. So I felt it incumbent on me to, color it in a lot of different ways, which I got massive recognition for, I must say. Quite good.
As well you should.
Yeah.
So when you did the reunion tour, did you find the drummer or the bass player were rushing the beat the most often? Andy Summers with us here in your Uncle Joe's Garage.
Yeah, it's interesting, okay, this leads to bigger questions. I don't know how much time we've got, but, you're not together for quite a long time, and then suddenly you're back. And someone asked me, the Hollywood Foreign Press, actually, yes, they really nailed me on this one. So what's it like, you get back together and you're all grown up now and you're mature. You think you are, and you get back and it's like I think I described this once as, it's like three infants in with a box of explosives. It's just terrible. Immediately it's the great level, and we all come back. The same old, what. So what you're saying that'd be one of the problems, rushing, and then it's my job to with my perfect time and pulse to absolutely anchor it.
Love it. That's perfect.
It's really true.
Mm-hmm. Roxanne, one of the most famous songs you ever associated with, started out as a bossa nova. And Stewart described how a bossa nova beat hits on certain blah, 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 but ended up being reggae or something
Does he
close
know
to
that?
that.
Yeah.
Well, he pounds on things, so I wasn't going to argue with him.
Yeah. Yes, it's absolutely true. We'd made this very ill-fated trip to Paris, but I do remember this quite clearly. Sting had wandered off on his own one night, and he went up to Montmartre and saw the ladies of the night walking around, and it inspired him to come up with that lyric for Roxanne. And like I was saying earlier, we were very into Brazilian music, and he started writing this song as a bossa nova, and clearly it was a good song, but we were in the thick of the punk scene. It was fast and furious. This wasn't really going to work.
Yeah.
The only thing we could, but we were sort of desperate for material, and I remember the afternoon we put the whole thing together and came up with the version that became world famous, of course, and at least we had one more song to add to our minuscule set. And eventually, we recorded it, and almost with shame, played it to Stuart's brother, Miles Copeland, who eventually became our manager, sorry about this, it's a ballad. And of course he went, this is brilliant, this is what I'm taking this to A&M.
There you go.
There you go, and that was how it started. We were sort of a bit embarrassed about it, but of course it was actually a classic. It's a great piece of songwriting.
Hey, it's your Uncle Joe Benson right here in the Uncle Joe's Garage. Now, I know that you probably haven't been to the garage as of yet, but I've got some great news. We have created a mobile version of the Uncle Joe's Garage, a mobile version, thanks to our friends at Mike Thompson RV Superstores. Like they always say, don't miss a moment. And don't miss the Uncle Joe's Garage coming to a location near you.